We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Hello dear students, today we are going to study a new article, Charge Carrier Concentration. Before initiating this article, let's recall that in N-type semiconductors, we already have 2 charge carrier concentrations, but we further classified that there is a majority charge carrier as well as minority charge carriers. For P-type semiconductors, we have the majority charge carriers as hole and minority charge carriers as electrons. Similarly, for N-type semiconductors, we have majority charge carriers as electrons and minority charge carriers as hole. Now, suppose I placed a semiconductor material in front of you and I ask you how many electrons or how many holes are presented inside that semiconductor material. How could you able to identify the number of electrons or number of holes in the given unknown semiconductor material? So we have one theoretical approach from which we can easily identify this charge carrier concentration. Remember, the concentration words looks quite tough, but it's simply related to the number of charge carriers. Okay, so conductivity in a semiconductor is due to movement of electrons in the conduction band. This is very much important. We say that the conductivity every time when we are classifying the electronic materials category. Okay, so the conductivity in a semiconductor is only proportional to the movement of electrons in the conduction band, that is the topmost, and the movement of holes in the valence band, but after applying the external electric field. So this move in the opposite direction, since hole motion in the valence band is due to the electron motion in the opposite direction. So here you can see, if I have applied the electric field in this way, okay, so the movement of electrons in the conduction band is opposing the applied electric field direction, whereas on the other hand in valence band the holes are moving towards the direction of applied electric field, and the net result confined that the motion of electrons and holes, that is the combination motion, is in the direction of applied electric field. The hole motion in valence band due to electron tunneling from one bond to the next, and here due to that you are seeing the bending of the conduction as well as valence band. Ultimately, the hole recombines with electrons and gets eliminated. Thus, formation of electrons and hole pairs and their recombination is a dynamic process which is purely dependent on temperature of the sample for intrinsic semiconductor, because in extrinsic semiconductor it also depends upon the structural properties of the impurity which we have doped, so that there is an equilibrium concentration at a given temperature. Only and only in intrinsic semiconductors the number of electrons and number of holes are equal as per the theory 2.1. Now when we are talking in terms of the extrinsic semiconductor, then the conductivity in a semiconductor will depends on 2 major factors. Number 1, the concentration of electrons and holes, which denotes as N and P, and it is a temperature dependent quantity. Number 2, the ability of the electron and holes to travel in the lattice without scattering, means without diverting from its direction. Electrons and holes are said to be drift in the lattice. This is because they undergo multiple scatterings with the atoms. So this is important that one should avoid the scattering of electrons and holes to maintain the desirable conductivity of semiconductor. For semiconductors, concentration of electrons and holes are small, so that electron-electron scattering can be ignored. Mobility, that is symbolically represented as mu, refers to the ability of the carriers to move in the lattice, and it is related to the effective mass of the charge carriers, me star for electrons effective mass, mh star for holes effective mass, and the time taken between two consecutive scattering events, that is tau e or tau h for electrons and holes respectively. The mobility can be mathematically expressed for electrons and holes by using equations number 1 and 2 respectively. Mu e is equal to E tau e upon m star, and mu h is equal to E tau h upon mh star. So small e is the charge of electron, tau e is the time between two consecuting electron-electron scattering events, m star is the effective mass of electron. Similarly, in equation number 2, tau h is the time for two consecutive scattering events between holes and holes, and mh star is the effective mass of holes. The effective mass term takes into account the effect of the lattice arrangement on the movement of the charge carriers. What is the purpose of using this effective mass? Because by utilizing the carrier concentration and the concept of mobility, it is possible to write a general equation for conductivity, which is given by equation number 3. Sigma is equal to Ne mu E plus Pe mu H, where N is the charge carrier concentration of electrons and P is the charge carrier concentration of holes. According to equation number 3, this is quite interesting. Higher the carrier concentration, no matter of either electrons or holes, higher the mobility. The carrier concentration of electron, that is small n, in an energy band is related to the density of available states, that is denoted as G of E, and the probability of occupation, that is F of E, which is given by n is equal to band integral G of E F of E dE, that is equation number 4. F of E represents the Fermi function, and for energy much greater than kBt, it can be approximated by the Boltzmann function, and it is classified in equation number 5 as f of E is equal to 1 upon 1 plus exponential E minus EF upon kBt, where kB is the Boltzmann constant and T is the absolute temperature in the Kelvin. This mathematical expression can be further reduced by exponential minus E minus EF upon kBt. To find the number of electrons in the conduction band, then equation 4 can be written as n is equal to integral EC to EC plus x. That means the electron has further travelled above the conduction band, so that is GCB of E F of E dE. So this CB subscript has been used to represent the conduction band. Okay, the actual density of states function in the conduction band depends on the semiconductor material, but an approximation of a 3D solid with an uniform potential can be used. In this case, the density of states function GCBE turns out to be 8 pi under root 2 upon h cube me star raised to 3 by 2 e minus ec square root. That is your equation number 7. The electron concentration in the conduction band is given by, now this equation 8 is very much important, which gives you the actual number of electrons in your semiconductor material. So what are the things you need? N is equal to Nc exponential minus Ec minus Ef upon kBt, where Nc will be discussed later on. Ec is the energy of conduction band, Ef is your Fermi energy, Kb is the Boltzmann constant, and T is the absolute temperature in Kelvin. Nc is equals to 2 into 2 pi me star kBt upon h square raised to 3 by 2, where Nc is a temperature dependent constant called the effective density of states at the conduction band edge. Ec is the bottom of the conduction band, and Ef is the position of the Fermi level. So this was all about the electron concentration. Similarly, the whole concentration in the conduction band can be given by P is equal to Nv exponential minus Ef minus Ev upon kBt, where Nv is equal to 2 into 2 pi mh star kBt upon h square raised to 3 by 2. If you look at equation number 8 and 9 are quite similar, just there is a difference between the subscript, so that you have to materialize, where Nv is the effective density of states at the valence band edge. So again, this Ev is the energy of top of the valence band. To eliminate Ef, consider multiplying N and P in equation number 8 and 9. So we have Nc into Nv exponential Ec minus Ev upon kBt. If you are subtracting the valence band energy from conduction band energy, you will have the band gap energy. So N into P is equal to Nc Nv e raised to minus Eg upon kBt. This is your equation number 11, which is the product of electrons and holes pair. In an intrinsic semiconductor, we already know that the number of electrons are equal to number of holes, since electrons and holes are created in pairs. This is called the Ni, the intrinsic carrier concentration. So Ni is equal to, because Ni into Ni, that is Ni square. If we are square rooting both the sides, so under root of NcNv exponential minus Eg upon kBt. So this was equation number 12. Thus, the intrinsic carrier concentration is dependent only on the band gap, okay, and Ni is a material property at a given temperature. So we can now written it as N into P is equal to Ni square, and this equation number 30 is nothing but the law of mass action of electrons and holes both, and it valid for any semiconductor at equilibrium. The conductivity equation can now be rewritten for intrinsic semiconductor as sigma I is equal to Nie into mu E plus mu H. So this is the final conductivity equation for semiconductor. So this was all about how to identify the charge carrier concentration of electrons and holes using the theoretical approach. So the complete derivation is given in this lecture, and in view of your GTU examination, be prepared for 7 marks question in this regard. In the upcoming lecture, we will now see the experimental usage of this semiconductor, or the combination of semiconductor with other insulator or conducting materials in our next session. So thanks for visiting this lecture.